My name is Gwendal Castellan. I'm the manager of sustainable destination development at Destination Vancouver. Really happy to have the Western Canadian Lodging Conference here in Vancouver.
So can you tell me a little bit about the history of Destination Vancouver? When did it come about?
Yeah, so Destination Vancouver was founded in 1902. It's one of the oldest, I think it's the second oldest destination marketing and management organization in North America. I believe after Chicago is number one.
Wow.
So as far as we know, it was a bunch of railway executives, a few hoteliers, and some real estate people who came together and created at the time I think it was called the Vancouver Tourist Association.
Okay.
So it's gone through several name changes. We're still officially the Metro Vancouver Tourism and Visitor Bureau.
Yeah.
But we do business as Destination Vancouver, and that name we adopted after we did a fairly extensive mandate and purpose review in 2021.
Yes.
As we were kind of in the thick of the pandemic, really looking at what are we doing, how can we really position ourselves to do it better and serve the needs of tourism and hospitality for going into the future.
That's really interesting because the roots of the organization are very much already in hospitality. Mm-hmm. So it is about bringing business to local businesses and urban centers. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're nearly as old as Vancouver, and our story, I think, as a visitor bureau, really follows the story of Vancouver, and that's one that's it's been one of hospitality, it's been one of tourism, attractions and experiences, really working closely together. And that's one of I think personally, it's one of the things that I value the most in the work, is that we really see a real sense of collaboration and real collaboration that happens across such a diverse sector, and the hotels are not alone, they're really integrated into the city and into the business community as pillars, really, of our city.
And in terms of British Columbia, but Vancouver especially, you're a beacon of sustainability to the rest of Canada, but also in North America. Has sustainability been a major driving factor for Destination Vancouver before other areas of the country, or?
I think it's kind of it's the ocean we swim in, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's part of Vancouver's evolution as a city. It goes back to some of the key events I think of is going back to the 60s and 70s when Vancouver decided not to allow freeways through the center of the city.
Exactly.
It really shaped urban development in the city, settlement in the city, and those decisions. Even though I don't imagine Tourism Vancouver at the time in the 1970s was thinking that, this will make Vancouver a more attractive destination in the future. Those are benefits that we've really seen, and as we recognize them, I think as a destination management organization, we really lean into it, and we also see where the policy decisions of our municipal government, things like the Climate Emergency Action Plan for Vancouver, and then before that the Greenest City Action Plan, are things that we actually can leverage and do translate into experience and motivational reasons to come to Vancouver. It doesn't take a brain scientist to arrive in Vancouver, whether it's landing at YVR or driving in from the border or even coming in on a ferry, to see that the setting is so important, and the connection of the city to nature at its doorstep is something that really shapes how people think about the place and the relationship of an urban center, a big city, or a little big city, or a big little city, however you want to say it, right next to nature, and that sense of harmony is really as old as the city. Vancouver is just over 700,000 inhabitants, but it's within the metro area, and the metro area is now I think over 2.6 million inhabitants in Metro Vancouver. So we really think of ourselves as Vancouver, but also Metro Vancouver as a destination. And that, all the suburbs and communities that make up Metro Vancouver are part of the experience. We are climbing back up close to our pre-pandemic levels as far as visitor volume We're, I think, on track to be, now this is a number I don't know off the top of my head, but I think well over 8.5 million visitors for 2023 if everything goes well. Or we saw earlier in the conference the numbers for occupancy for Vancouver being hitting 80%, which takes us back to 2019 levels.
Excellent.
With the ADR being stronger, the RevPAR being stronger than 2019. We look at specific subsectors like cruise has bounced back stronger,
Excellent.
faster. Even in 2022, we had more ships coming to Vancouver than we had in 2019. So despite all the things that happened during the pandemic with cruise ships, people wanted to travel and they wanted to see places like BC and Alaska and Vancouver, and really that Vancouver as a departure port was important to them. So our growth has been quite strong in sectors like cruise.
That's excellent. And in terms of tourism operators, we'll be speaking with Harbour Air lately, and we know that they service downtown Vancouver as a gateway to all of these other destinations that are sort of part of Vancouver's story, even if though they're outside of Vancouver. You talked about the downtown core and the population of the downtown core and the density.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, the downtown peninsula has just over 90,000 inhabitants. And what's really interesting, we look at the history of downtown, because in the 1970s we didn't build highways through the downtown peninsula, through Stanley Park. People have been living close and integrated with downtown since throughout the development of the city. We never saw the exodus that we saw in other North American cities where people moved to the suburbs. I mean, that happened in Vancouver as well, but we stayed with a core people living in downtown. Now the West End, for example, is really a super diverse and very dense neighborhood, and that's enabled things like walkability, active transportation like cycling and rolling to really grow in this city. Other things like during the Olympics we had the building of the Canada Line that connected YVR to downtown Vancouver right to our convention center, and those are really differentiators in Vancouver where you can go from the airport straight to your hotel, walk across the street, be at the convention center, and have a view that is second to none. So there's some real assets that if we imagine that highway going through, it would be where that convention center is. So we're really fortunate to have had the foresight over the decades that's put us in the situation we are today, which is a place that is really highly in demand.
And what kinds of initiatives are underway with Destination Vancouver today? What kinds of things are important for you to talk about?
Well, right now, really, one of the things is really looking at that demand, the desirability of Vancouver, and we've really identified that if the growth keeps going, as we believe it will, we're very close to starting to have to turn away visitors because we don't have the capacity to house them. So this year we produced a report that looked at the future demand for Vancouver from 2022 to 2050, and it estimates that we need 10,000 new hotel rooms in Vancouver to be able to meet the demand at the occupancies that we have today. That means 10,000 or more rooms in Vancouver, 10,000 more rooms in Metro Vancouver, so a total of 20,000 more rooms in the region.
And this is tourism demand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is looking at all the sectors, business, FIT, friends and family, everything, looking at the rates. If we look at what is the opportunity cost here, what is the unmet demand if we don't build to meet that growth, we estimate it to be over $30 billion between 2023 and 2050. 168,000 full-time equivalents. We'd start turning away people in summer months in 2026 in Vancouver, 2028 Metro Vancouver. By 2040, every single month of the year, we'd be functionally 100% full. No, these are theoretical in the sense that ADR, RevPAR, things change. But even from the time we've done this research to today, there's been changes like provincial regulation on short-term rentals, which is going to likely cause some more compression in the market and increase that demand.
Well, it's a big conversation out west right now. I've been following what's been happening in Edmonton very closely.
Yeah. So we've looked at what percentage of available listings are in our market in Vancouver, and in July 2023 it accounted for 23% of the total supply in the city. And so if that shifts by next summer, for example, it's going to have significant effects, and our ability to host major events, be able to have enough people for Taylor Swift in December, it's going to be an ongoing challenge. So we're really sort of putting out that flag that an investment in Vancouver is a good investment. The demand is there, and really encourage people who are thinking about it to really consider Vancouver.
What are some of the most important items on your radar? What are some of the challenges or the most important messaging you'd like to get out to hospitality businesses?
Well, we're in a really exciting period. We've been advocating for this for quite some time. Since 2018, this has been a priority file, and the city's heard us. So in 2018, we had an interim hotel development policy passed by council. This fall, we had another hotel development motion passed to really accelerate the process of for staff to develop policy options for the city to pass to help enable hotel development in Vancouver. So they're exploring different options. There's going to be consultation coming up in early 2024. So as far as the industry, it's really to look out for that, because we want everyone who has some kind of toe in the process to get involved with that feedback to the city, so that policy is going to be as effective. So they can really hear whether the options they are presenting are going to be sufficient or insufficient, or how could they be tweaked to be better. So we'll be amplifying that and really trying to engage with as many people as possible. We've also are about to kick off a hotel development task force in partnership with the BC Hotel Association.
Excellent.
Focused on really exploring beyond what's, reviewing what the city of Vancouver can do as a municipality, but really looking beyond the city of Vancouver. What are the other elements, whether it's at the provincial government level, at the federal level, we have a regional government, Metro Vancouver, and other factors that could help address the gaps that have put a brake on the amount of hotels that we've seen develop in Vancouver in the last 2 decades, really, because we've seen a net decline in the number of hotels in the city of Vancouver since 2002. That was our peak number of rooms, with a little bit of peak, a second sort of lower peak in 2010 with the Olympics, and then a steady decline since then. So there's been new. But there's been more taken offline than there's been brought online, and so we really want to reverse that trend and start to see a steady and appropriate growth of hotel accommodation in the city that's in line not only with our visitor growth but also with the population growth of the city. We're seeing really big growth as an urban center, and as our economy grows more generally, the services that hotels provide to the community are important, whether it's for business meetings and conventions that are either local, regional, or international, whether it's for accessing healthcare services. People travel from all over the province to access our major hospitals in Vancouver, whether it's friends and families, whether it's weddings, bar mitzvahs,
but
you name it.
Why people are moving into Vancouver, I think it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And are you, is there anything, any extenuating circumstances that have contributed to that downtrend? Or is it just a natural cycle in business? And I mean, we've had a lot happening, arguably, in the last.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things we know is that other uses have outcompeted hotel as an end use. So just the financing of things like condominiums and office. The office market has been super tight in Vancouver, and you're able to get long leases in Vancouver. So the ability to get money in and out of an office development has been very attractive in the commercial space. And so those are some of the factors that we see as being competing. Vancouver also, the cost of land is higher. We're constrained land base. We're squeezed between mountains, ocean, rivers, and even
some finite space thanks to Mother Nature.
And so it's both a blessing and a curse. And so those things are things that all contribute to the value of the land being higher, and the competition for end use, for commercial land use, industrial land use, residential land use is all very high and heightened. And so far the financing of a hotel is just not quite being at the same level all the time. So we really want to find ways to just even the playing field so that all things being equal, a hotel development is a wise and sensible choice. Between that and an office or a comprehensive development or retail, whatever it might be, we think that it just needs to be reasonably competitive, and that once we get to that point, we're going to see a real good shift that starts to get us on track to where we need to be.
That's a really, really interesting perspective, and something that I'll come back to you maybe later on to talk about again, because it's a file that I think is obviously very important to downtown Vancouver, its future, and it's hard to get business owners to look that far into the future, right?
Yeah, and I would say the one thing that's important to realize is, although the bulk of our hotels are downtown, it's really for all of Vancouver and Metro Vancouver. We're not alone here. The demand radiates to all of Metro Vancouver, and even into the Fraser Valley and Sea to Sky, Squamish, Whistler.
I see that through the tourism operators.
So this is something that can't be solved just in Vancouver. It really has to be at a wider regional level, and so there's still a lot of work to do to really get all the ducks in a row so that we can get to that level of investment and construction that we need.